What's up, guys? It's Mr. Zeke. Obviously I'm not here, so you're gonna have to learn from me. Why don't you guys get out your big book and go to page 13? You should see a picture that looks like this, and you should see the lesson title 1.3 Least Common Multiple. So because this is a video, at any time you can hit pause or you can rewind or whatever you need to do. Um, or you can watch it again. You can watch it a million times if you want. So least common multiple, or LCM, is something that you did last year. So let's read this problem. I'm going to show you two different ways to do this problem. Two different ways. Um, in an experiment, each flower pot will get one seed. If the flower pots are in packages of 6 and the seeds are in packets of 8, what is the least number of plants that can be grown without any seeds or pots left over? The least common multiple, or LCM, is the least number that is a common multiple of 2 or more numbers. So this is a word problem, and if this was a test, it wouldn't necessarily come out and tell you that you have to do the least common multiple or the LCM. But you will have key words that'll tell you that you need to be doing the least common multiple, or LCM. That is this right here. Least number, sorry. So why don't you guys underline or highlight least number? If you're doing a word problem, and especially on chapter 1, and you see the words least number in the problem, that means you're going to be doing the least common multiple, or the LCM. So there is a couple different ways. I'm going to just show you two ways to do this. One way is to use a list. So we're going to do this right here. We're going to copy this right now. So you don't need to put a circle around. I just put that circle there. I don't know. I shouldn't have done that, actually. And I think of it. Okay, so this is the way you did it last year. Multiples are like your multiplication tables. So the multiples of 6 are 6 because 6 times 1 is 6. We have this 12 right here because 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. So let's put a 24 in there. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. 6 times 7 is 42. And 6 times 8 is 48. Same thing down here for your 8s. We have the multiples of 8 are 8 times 1 is 8. 8 times 2 is 16. 8 times 3 is 24. 8 times 4 is 32. 8 times 5 is 40. 8 times 6 is 48. 8 times 7 is 56. And 8 times 8 is 64. So, least common multiple. Let's break down all of those words. So first, common means, are there any numbers that are shared by both groups? Multiples are the numbers that you're seeing there. 6 up to 48 and 8 up to 64. So let's circle all the ones that are in common. So this one here, we have a 24 and a 24. We have a 48 and a 48. And then the word least. So out of the common multiples, we want the smallest one. So I think you all know 24 is our smallest multiple, and that would be what we call our least common multiple. All right, that should be ringing some bells. If not, it will be by the end of this. So I have another way. So on a piece of paper, get out a piece of notebook paper, if you need extra time, hit pause now and get the paper, and then hit unpause when you have the paper. So let's go over here. I got my little whiteboard ready for you. And we'll use bomber blue ink. So this method is called the ladder method or the L method. It's not even in the book, so don't bother looking in the book because it's not in there. It's something that I found and that students just love. So what you're going to do, if we're trying to find the LCM of 6 and 8, same numbers. So you know that the answer is going to be 24. I'm going to show you how to get there, at least in my opinion, in an easier way. So on your paper, let's put a 6 and let's put an 8 a little far apart from each other. And then let's draw an L next to the 6 going all the way over to the 8. So now you're going to think, what is a number I can divide both the 6 and the 8 by? And for 6 and 8, the only number that we can choose is 2. They have a common factor of 2. So I'm going to put a 2 out here. And then pretty much I'm going to take this 6 and I'm going to divide by 2, and I'm going to put my answer down here. So 6 divided by 2 is 3. Now I'm going to do this 8 over here. 8 divided by 2 is 4. So the reason some people call it the L method is because we're then going to box this in and make a big giant L, like in bubble letters. Everything inside of my L, my 2, my 3, and my 4, I'm going to multiply those together. 2 times 3 times 4. So 2 times 3 is 6. 6 times 4 is 24. And la-dee-da, we got the same answer that we just got before. So that is the least common multiple, but using the L method. 24 should be the answer. Great. Great, 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 great. Nice. So let's try another one. So I know there's a lot in the big book, but for right now, don't focus on the big book besides page 14, number 1. We're gonna skip all the other ones because there's just so many different ways. Let's just go right to number 1 on page 14. That would be if I go here and I go to my next page here. Okay, so go to number 1 on page 14. Okay, so number 1 on page 14 says list the 6 non-zero multiples of 6 and 9. Circle the common multiples, then find the LCM. Okay, so there should be a spot on your paper to write the multiples, or you can write them on a piece of notebook paper if you would like. So let's do it the classic way, the old school way that maybe Mrs. Bablavi taught you. And this is the way that the book also taught you. This is the way that I learned when I was in school. So let's go through the multiples of 6. So we have 6 times 1 is 6. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 3 is 18. 6 times 4 is 24. 6 times 5 is 30. 6 times 6 is 36. And the one problem with doing it this way is you never know how many multiples you're supposed to list. So maybe start by listing 4, 5, 6. It depends. You're not really sure how many you're going to have to list. Let's do the multiples of 9. We should remember the multiples of 9. There's the 9's trick. You have 9 times 1. 9 times 2 is 18. 9 times 3 is 27. 9 times 4 is 36. And so when you're listing those multiples, once you find one match, you really don't have to keep going. Now, I just noticed I have not only one match, I got an 18 and an 18, but I have 2 matches. So which one do I choose? Remember, I want the least common multiple. That's what LCM stands for. So least, I'm looking at my lower of the 2 numbers, or lowest of all of my numbers, and that is 18. So for number 1 on page 14, we should have 18. So you can put a nice 18 on the line. So that is the classic old school style, the way I grew up on, the way maybe your mom and pa learned. Let's learn the new way. Even if you say, I don't like the new way, I don't want to do the new, maybe you might like it if we try it another time. Let's try it again because it takes more than one try to really fall in love with something. And I really love the new way. So let's get ready. You can remember, you can hit pause if I'm going too fast. We're going to try the same problem. We're going to do the LCM of 6 and 9. So we're going to use the ladder method or the L method. So let's get a 6, let's get a 9, let's put an L. What is a common factor between 6 and 9? What is a number I can divide 6 by and 9 by? Doesn't have to be the biggest number, doesn't have to be the smallest number, it just has to be a number. And I don't know about you guys. You can write it on your paper if you think you know, but I don't know about you guys. I'm thinking 3. Don't choose 1, obviously. So it has to be a number. It has to be bigger than 1. So 6 divided by 3 is 2. And 9 divided by 3 is 3. Now remember what we're going to do. We're going to close off that L. And we're going to multiply all the numbers inside the L together. And we can multiply them in any order we want. And we're still going to get the same answer. So you could do 3 times 2 and get 6, and 6 times 3 is 18. You can do 3 times 3 first, and that's 9. 9 times 2 is 18. One way or the other, you're going to get 18. You can even use this method if you want. 3 times 2 is 6. And then you bring down this 3. 6 times 3 is 18. However you want to show your work. But the answer should be 18, and that is the ladder or the L method. Hotsy totsy. That is looking good. Ooh, Lord, that's looking good. All right. I think we're ready to go on to the big book. Remember, you're probably looking at or the next page in the big book. You're probably looking at your big book and saying, whoa, dude, we like skipped so much. That's okay. I know what I'm doing. Just trust me. Been teaching this for a while now, so I know what is going to work and what's not going to work. So why don't we go ahead to page 15. So page 15. And there is something up with my thing. So go to page 15, and you're going to have to look in your own book because it's not coming up on my screen here. But page 15, number 2. Number 2. So number 2 kind of looks like this. It has a 2, it has a 3, and a 5. So we are going to figure out what is the least common multiple, or LCM, between 3 and 5. So if you think you know it, or if you want to try it on your own, hit pause and go ahead and forge ahead. If you're not sure, don't hit pause, and I'm going to show you right now. Either way, I'm going to show you the work behind it. I'm going to show you both ways. So let's do classic way first. So in your book or on your paper, because you do have space in your book to do this one, you're going to do 3, you're going to put a colon, and 5, and you're going to put a colon. So let's do the first couple multiples of 3. So we have 3 times 1 is 3. And again, you can hit pause and kind of work ahead and then come back and check your answers. 3 times 2 is 6. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 times 4 is 12. 3 times 5 is 15. Let's do the multiples of 5. I love the multiples of 5. Those are easy, right? 5, 10, 15. That was probably one of the first multiple sets you learned back in the day. And I already have a match. So you don't need to do so many. You just really need to go until you hit that first match. And my match here is 15. And that means what I would write on my paper, like write this into your big book. Because if you come into school tomorrow and you have nothing in your big book, then how do I know you did any of the work? So maybe you're writing this work on a separate sheet of paper. You need to bring that into school too, because I can't just take your word for it like, oh, I did it on a separate sheet of paper, but I didn't bring it in, or didn't write it in my big book. How do I know you even did the lesson? So make sure you just write down the answer in the big book. And if you had work on a separate sheet of paper, bring that work page in too, because I got to know that you actually did something. Let's try the L method. So again, why don't you guys hit pause, see if you could do the L method. Remember, this is how you set it up. See if you can finish it from there. If you're not sure, keep listening to me. So what is a common factor between 3 and 5? 3 and 5. What are we thinking? What are we thinking? Well, actually, this is the one weird one. Normally, I would say don't choose one, but literally the only thing that we can divide both 3 and 5 by is 1. And the reason why is because 3 and 5 are prime numbers. So, yeah, weird. Very weird. So we're going to have to choose 1. So 3 divided by 1 is 3, and 5 divided by 1 is 5. And then if we multiply everything in our L together, we get 1 times 3, which is 3, and 3 times 5, which is 15. So we get the same answer. This is the only one that's just a little weird, but we do get the same answer. So hot dog, we got it. All right, let's move on to number 3. Once again, if you think you can get the answer to number 3 on your own, go ahead and do number 3 now. If you don't think you can get the answer to number 3, I guess listen to me. So if you need a separate sheet of paper, put down 3, and this should be what you see on the page 15 for number 3. Let's kick it old school first. Now the multiples of 3, they should be literally like a couple inches away. You already did the multiples of 3, so let's list out the same ones. We're just going to copy our work that we did before. So 3, 6, 9, 12, 15. Hopefully we get a match there. So let's see. Let's do the multiples of 9. Oh, look at that. We already have a multiple already because 9 times 1 is 9. So we have a match. So our LCM for number 3 should be 9. That's what, write that down in your big book, even if you're doing work on a separate sheet of paper, because otherwise won't know that you're actually doing anything. All right, let's try the L method. So even the people, if you didn't like the L method, let's try the L method. Okay? Keep going. 3, 9, L. Number that I can divide both 3 and 9 by. Again, if you want to do it by yourself first, and then so hit pause and then unpause me to check your work, that's cool. We have 3, we have 9. So we can divide both those by 3, actually. So I'll put a 3 here. 3 divided by 3 is 1. 9 divided by 3 is 3. Let's take everything in the L. We have 3 times 1 times 3. So you know 3 times 1 is 3, and 3 times 3 is 9. We end up getting that same answer. Oh, yeah, nice. So why don't you ask yourself this question? Are you an L method person? Are you an old school person? Hopefully by now you have figured out, do you like to list the multiples, or do you like to do this newfangled L method that I just taught you? I don't know. Hopefully you have a way. All right, we're going to do one more together here. That's going to be number 4. And just to make it more fun, I'm using the Galaxy pen. Give it up for the Galaxy pen, kids. So we have 9 and 15. So let's do, once again, try and get this answer first, and then I'll show you the work behind it. So hit pause right now if you don't want to know the answer just yet. All right. So now you probably hit unpause and you want to know the answer. So that's why I'm going to just give the answer right away. So your answer should be 45. Here is the classic old school multiple method. So let's jump down. Let's do the 15s first. So we have 15 times 1 is 15. 15 times 2 is 30. And 15 times 3 is 45. And then let's do the 9s. 9 times 1, 9 times 2, 9 times 3, 9 times 4, 9 times 5. And there is our first match, 45. And that's how we got 45. So clear. And let's do it the new school way, making our L. Oh, man, how many times are we going to do that? We got 9, we got 15. Put them inside your L. A number I can divide both 9 and 15 by is 3. 9 divided by 3 gives you 3. 15 divided by 3 gives you 5. There we go. All we got to do is multiply these all together. So this gets a little tough because these numbers are a little bit bigger than before, so you probably can't do it mentally. So what I would do is I'd write them down, then I'd kind of do this, and I'd do, okay, what's 3 times 3? 3 times 3 is 9. Now I'm doing 9 times 5, because if you try and multiply all 3 at once, it's a little bit harder. Try and make things easier on yourself. Your answer should be 45. So there you go. You now have 5 examples under your belt. You have 1 example from page 13, 1 from 14, and 3 from page 15. By now, you should at least know what to do. If you don't, you could always watch the video again. But hopefully, I would say some of you probably already have your favorite way picked out to find the least common multiple. I would hope that you found your favorite way. So now you're going to jump back onto Schoology, and there's going to be directions of what I want you to do in the big book and in the practice book. There's going to be a couple that we might skip, but we should have the basics down. So I'm proud of I'm imagining that you did a good job. So I'm proud of the work you did so far. So feel free to watch this 1,000 times if that's what it takes. So good job, and check Schoology to see what to do next.